talk anymore? You know who he is?
We do talk, but not enough. And every single time that we talk, we say, I don't know why we're not talking more often, because we really miss each other.
Say one more time.
No, I just said that we don't talk often enough, and every single time that we talk, we say that we need to talk more because we really miss each other.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen.
I know life gets in the way and stuff,
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Well, I have a top secret secret for you that I will text you. And if anybody is watching this on YouTube, it's just top secret. So maybe I'll edit this part out. All right, let's get started. Live on Facebook. What's your brother's name?
Stefan.
Hello.
Hello again.
Well, now that's recorded. Now you're on there forever.
Excellent. I'm glad to add.
In perpetuity. All right. I think we're live streaming. So we're running a tad bit late today.
I got lost. We'll just we don't have to be pushed. I got lost.
So we are here with El Duggo, and as we know, this guy is diehard. He loves us and our community. And Doug, you are calling in from where, sir?
I'm in the Czech Republic. I'm in the Czech Republic.
Are you sure?
I think so. Well, that was part of the thing. We got lost walking home, but I don't think we got too far off course. So I think we're still in the Czech Republic.
Fantastic. Let's see. How about I pin both of us so that we can both be on the show today. How's that? So let's see. Do you have a travel buddy with you, Doug?
I do. My brother is here with me. So we actually had, it was really cool. We had a Duchenne conference in Budapest that myself and my colleague Jennifer were presenting at, and working with a few moms in Hungary that were putting on the conference. And so that was on Friday. And so I was there from Wednesday to Sunday, and did some sightseeing, did some helping with some kids, talking at the conference, and then took a couple of extra days. I've never been over in this direction, so it took a couple of extra days to explore a little bit before heading home.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I do have a question about that real quick. How do your chicken feel about you taking your brother instead of them?
Well, we had a discussion about it. I mean, Lindy, they're rational chickens. If you explain to them, they seem to understand. So they were a little disappointed at first.
Sure.
Just ask that maybe I bring back a toy or some sort of something for them, and I think they'll be okay. But I appreciate you asking.
Yeah, no, they're family. Maybe
Right.
Bring home a dirty sock or two. That might.
No, this place. I told you this place has a washing machine. So we've done laundry. Here's proof. You wanted proof. There's some sort of drying thing there. So yes,
I don't know.
I did.
That could be dirty
It could just
clothes
be
just thrown on there.
It could just be a prop. No, we did laundry. So no, it's
Go ahead.
It's really, I mean, all kidding aside, this has just been amazing. I mean, to get to learn from other people and go to other places and see what they do and what they don't do, what they know, what they don't know. Got to spend a lot of time with the two moms that helped bring us over for the conference, and got to spend some time with their kids, and help them with different things Duchenne related. And I'm in Prague now, and I met with a mom this morning who lives about 50 minutes outside of Prague, and I met her at a coffee shop this morning, and there was a little play area downstairs. So I got to take a look at her kid and kind of help her and point her in the right direction with things, and help her with stretching and give her some ideas. So it's been really, this has just been an amazing, eye-opening experience. So it's kind of cool.
That is super cool. I am green with envy, I must say. It's yeah, it sounds pretty amazing. And our topic today is actually related to travel. I figured I would pick your brain while all of this was fresh in your mind. And we hear in the community, travel with your kids when they're young, travel when they're young. I'd love for you to take a minute and kind of reflect on everything it took to get you where you are in Prague now. And what kind of suggestions or recommendations would you make for a family with a child with Duchenne to do that kind of travel, and across the seas kind of jaunt? So whether somebody from Europe or that side of the world coming over to the States, or people in the States going on over there, what's accessibility like? What was the air flight like? All that good fun stuff.
It depends. It's no, and that's actually really good, because at the conference, we were representing Cure Duchenne, and Jennifer and I came over, but Deborah Miller and her husband Paul and their son Hawken came as well for the conference, because they were speaking at it too. And for those of you that don't know, Hawken is in his 20s. He's in a power chair. He can actually stand and walk just really short distances with some help. So they actually came over. So that would have been great if we had planned this well enough. We could have had him as a guest. But it's a good question, and I actually did a blog for Cure Duchenne a little while back about travel with a disability. The first thing I would say is it's definitely possible. It's more difficult, and it requires more planning and more logistics. But like as Hawken is an example, it's definitely possible. I think the first thing that you need to do is research where you're going. We're in kind of Central Europe, old world Europe. It's not extremely accessible. I remember Deborah saying at dinner that Hawken's power chair was taking a beating because of all the cobblestone streets. And he actually brought, so he has a Permobil power chair, but he had brought over, they have like a travel power chair, which is more minimal and folds up. And so that's what they brought over, because they thought it would just be easier to get in and out of taxis and places like that. But there's not curb cutouts everywhere. There's not ramps everywhere. We had a lovely dinner in the home of one of the families that brought us over, and they have 3 steps to get into the house, and they don't have a ramp. I mean, their kids are young and they don't need it yet. So we had to, thankfully, Hawken's father, myself, others were there, and we were able to lift the chair up. But not every place has ramps. Not every place has curb cutouts. There are potholes. Things are old here. Not all elevators work. So you really need to research where you're going and make sure that you feel comfortable with that. Whatever your state is, whether you're walking, not walking, in a manual chair, in a power chair. That's important. I would say plan extra time, because the routes that I might take or somebody else might take, if they don't have a disability, might be very different. That, like, if you were traveling with your family, it might take, even if you're walking somewhere, it might take you twice the amount of time because you have to go around and then this way and that way just to get to where you're going. So I would say those are the biggest things I'm starting to see in different countries that I've been blessed to be able to go to in the last couple of years, that they are making more what's the word I'm looking for? They're better about having things for people with disabilities, like maybe getting on and off a cruising boat, like if for the day you're taking an excursion out and taking a boat up and down a river, or to go see fjords or whatever it is. They're placing temporary ramps or having people being able to get wheelchairs on and off. So I think as more people with disabilities are traveling, places are responding. They want customers, and economies are hurting. And so if they have to add extra personnel or a ramp or something to get more customers there, they're doing it.
Wow, that's impressive to think that our disability community has that much power to to get the economy going and to get some businesses to get things moving too.
To respond.
Yeah. So I visited England years and years ago, and that's about the extent of my travel outside the States. But how do you find out how accessible something really is? Because everybody's definition of accessible varies quite dramatically.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's certainly downsides to things like social media, as we've all seen, but I think there are a lot of great things about that, and the connection with people in other places is amazing. And so on many of these Duchenne related Facebook groups, there are people from dozens and dozens and dozens of different countries. And so you can even put on there like, hey, we're planning on taking a trip to go visit family in India, or we're planning on going to Ireland. My son's in a wheelchair. Is there anybody on here from there that can kind of give me an idea of what it's like to travel around? And I would bet that there's a pretty good chance that you can get some good feedback that way. I've researched stuff on the internet, and there are different blogs. Like I said, I wrote, a blog that was about 2 years ago. So you never know the information if you're just kind of sort of Googling it or whatever. You don't know how up to date that information is. So I think social media is just a fantastic way to get current information from people that live in those places or have traveled to those places.
That's actually a brilliant idea. I was imagining calling them up and, hey, no, it's got to look like this. So that's great. Go to the people who already speak your language, right?
Yeah.
Now, a couple more questions. Accessible vehicles. Is that a thing? Like an accessible taxi, or if you are using a power chair, how do you get that guy around?
So I have in the few places that I've been outside the US, for the most part, I have not seen accessible public transportation, with the exception of, I think, Norway. Norway, I think their public buses and things like that have the ability to transport or take power chairs. I asked the moms, because I specifically asked that when we were here in Hungary, and I said, what is it like if you're transporting something? Like, do you have, are there accessible minivans and things like that? And for the most part, no. And in a lot of other countries, vehicles are more expensive than they are in the US. And especially something, I mean, it's already like an accessible, something that can take a power chair in the US is already, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. So I haven't seen them in the places that I've been here. So I think a lot of times people will take like a manual chair. So I actually saw something. I chased this lady down this morning. My brother and I were having breakfast at a cafe, and some lady was going out of the cafe, and she went out and kind of along the sidewalk. And I told my brother, "I'll be right back." And I chased after her, and I said, excuse me." And thankfully, she spoke English and didn't think I was crazy. And I said, I'm a physiotherapist in the US, and can I just ask you about this? She had a manual chair that had this thing that connected to like the front part of the frame. And it was basically like a wheel. It was like the front part of an electric scooter that you see that you can like, that people hop on and off around town, like those little Lime scooters or whatever it was. But it was like a wheel, maybe about this big, and a metal post, and then a handle with, stop and start and go. And it connected to her manual chair. So it essentially made her manual chair a scooter. And with one pull of a pin, she was able to take this thing on and off. So I took pictures. I'm happy. I can send that to you. I'll text it to you. Because I've never seen anything like that exists in the US. But it was just amazing. There she was with a manual chair that she turned into a scooter, but that thing is transportable in almost any car.
It's really cool. Yes,
Yeah.
please share those pics, and I'll post them along with this, and wherever. But that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
So I just think my point in bringing it up, whether that's available to families in the US or it's not, there are more options out there. It's not, I don't think you're always as stuck as it may seem. It might just take a little bit of kind of sleuthing and asking around and seeing what's available. But I'm a PT. I work with lots of people, and I have for a long time, and I'd never seen anything like this. Didn't know it existed. So it was just really exciting to see something like that.
Awesome. I have just a couple more wrap up questions, and then we'll let you go to sleep, because it's what time over there, Doc?
It's 11 o'clock.
11. Oh, and by the way, Cheryl Marazzo says hello.
Hi, Cheryl.
Good to know that. Let's see. And DJ here asks, has the EU helped with places being more accessible, perhaps?
I think so. Again, I can't say that. I mean, it's really hard for me to speak like in general with the EU. I spent a lot of time with the physical therapists, or as they call them here, physiotherapists in Hungary. We got to tour their hospital and spent the day with the children's hospital. Got to spend the day with them, and we asked them a lot of these questions. Oh, you're asking what's the EU? It's the European Union. So many of the countries that are in Europe are part of the European Union. And it seems like the government is being more responsive. I was really pleasantly surprised. And this is just in terms of kids, but I would imagine it would apply to adults as well, that this, like, the state run medical insurance pays for a good amount of equipment. They pay for a good amount of therapy. They cover a lot of things that we have here. And so that was really nice to see. I thought that maybe durable medical equipment wise or therapy wise, the resources wouldn't be there. It seems like they are. I think they're really slow to make buildings and places more accessible, because so many of these places are hundreds and hundreds of years old, and they're landmarks and things like that. So it's slow for those kinds of things to change. So unfortunately, DJ, like, I don't see a lot of people out in wheelchairs. I mean, I've been here now. I've been to Hungary and then to Czech Republic, and I've been here about a week, and I think I've seen like 3 people in wheelchairs. out and about, and I've been out and about a lot. So, that's kind of sad. It leads me to believe, I mean, those people are here, people are in wheelchairs, but it just leads me to believe that they're just not getting out that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I've got friends all around the world now from the Duchenne community, Australia, England, Sweden, all over. And it's always interesting to do the compare and contrast about help that's available, government involvement, all that good stuff. So that's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up, could you give us some tips? And I've got two questions. You might be able to roll them all up into one. And it depends is not allowed, Mr. Doug. So the question is, for families who have younger kids who are still ambulatory, what sort of signs should you look for that the kiddo's overdoing it? Because man, that excitement can take over for anybody, and just go, 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 go. So what would be some signs there? And then also, do you have any suggestions or just some things to know if a family is traveling with extended family and friends? Just some tips for not the family themselves, but their traveling partners about what the Duchenne family needs while they travel.
So your first question is how to know if they're overdoing it. Do you mean in relation to travel, or you just mean just in general? How do we know?
Yeah, no. In relation to travel, like how do you keep them not overdoing it? When do you know? Okay, sucker, you're going to be in this wheelchair for the next half of the day because
Yeah. Yeah, I think it. Okay, I can't. I think it. What's determined with? I didn't say it depends. It does a little bit depend on the age of the kid. I think if they are older, and they're cognitively able to understand, I think talking a lot about the trip beforehand so that they have an understanding, like, look, there's going to be a lot of walking, there are a lot of different things to see, a lot of those are spread out. We're going to make sure that you take breaks. Now we're traveling with other family, whether siblings or cousins or grandparents or aunts or uncles. They might want to see some other things. They might not be as patient as as I am, or dad is, or whatever it is. So nobody's ever going to leave you by yourself. Will always be. But if they want to go do something and we need to take a rest, let's go get some ice cream, or let's find a coffee shop and hang out, or let's find something cool and where we can. So you're just trying to kind of prep them for, as best as you can for what's to be expected. I would say make sure that you build in those breaks, because you as a parent or a caregiver are going to get excited too. And if you've never been to whatever it is, like let's say Italy or something like that, you might want to see everything. And so there might be, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but like selfishly, you might want to kind of push your kid because you're like, come on, I've never seen the Leaning Tower of Pisa. We have to go, just walk a little more, or whatever it is. So just trying to catch yourself as well, and be aware that you might not be able to see everything, and you don't want to overwork your kid. And on these trips, especially if it's a larger trip, it's many days, and so we're having to kind of make it, it's not a sprint, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and we have to, maybe we're there for 6 days, and so we have to conserve energy every day so that we're not exhausted by day 4, or people aren't, your kid's not getting sick because they've overdone it. And as far as what to look for, kind of the same things we would at home. If they're complaining about their legs hurting, if they're cramping, at worst, we got to be careful of, like, if when they're urinating, their urine is a kind of a dark brown color, that means that they've broken down too much muscle and they've really overdone it. So make sure that they stay hydrated. So it's really, I think it boils down to coming into it with the best expectations that you can. There's a lot you're not going to be able to plan ahead of time or know about, and things are going to change. So just be flexible, but also try to plan as best as you can. And then for the extended family, like if you're going with other family members and, an aunt, grandparents or whatever, prep them too. Make sure that they understand, look, this is a big trip for you guys too. You've always wanted to go to Italy. We don't want to hold you back. So having honest conversations, let us know what you want to do. And if we're able to join and we're able to do those things too, great. And if not, then we're going to hang back. And if you want to hang back with us, that's great. And if you want to go do your own thing for a little bit, that's great too.
Good. That's good, Doug. It kind of seems like you know Duchenne or something. Like you've
I try, but you know what? I'm always learning. I am always learning, and I always want to, because I definitely don't have all the answers. So
that's one of the things I like about you, Doug. You say when you don't know something, and you say when you do know something. So I like knowing where I stand with people, and I like that about you. So thank you.
yeah, well, thank you. I try to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I honestly hope you have a lot of fun on the rest of your travel, and I honestly really appreciate you coming tonight and staying up late. And well, you weren't staying up late for us anyway. You were gallivanting around, weren't you?
No, I was trying to keep myself awake before I go to bed, so I'm gonna go. It's so sad. Like, there's all the young people, we can hear them like going here and there, and my brother and I were just like, all right, yeah, I think we're just gonna go back and go to bed.
Go do some laundry or something. Just relax here in front. Awesome. All right. Well, you're wonderful, Doug. We all love you. We hope y'all have safe travels, and say goodnight to your brother, and we'll see you in the States next Monday.
We'll see you next Monday.
Okay. Bye, Doug.
Bye.